Warning. The following video contains some bloodthirsty imagery, because vampires noshing people off and stuff like that. And also, wait for it, lewd thieves! Lewd thieves! Hey up, Rayvers. Got a spot of Gothic horror for you today. Courtesy of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yes, Dracula. Arguably one of the most iconic horror characters in popular culture. Been loads of depictions of Dracula, right back to the 20s with this Nosferatu thing. Which apparently weren't Dracula, but it were Dracula, if you get what I mean. And then you got your Bela Lugosi with his slick back hair. And that style was so iconic, it sort of set the template for Dracula ever since. You know, going into the Hammer horrors with Christopher Lee, etc., etc.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, I counted that one before.
So yes, as I say, that's the iconic look, isn't it? Although, as we get into the 70s, this version of Dracula, he looks more like Neil Diamond. Yeah. And I'm intrigued to see what style Dracula we were going to get in this film. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who did Godfather and Apocalypse Now, stuff like that. So heavyweight director, this bloke. Everybody raves about him. And the film opens with Vlad the Impaler, played by Gary Oldman, wearing a corduroy suit of armour. Well, it looks like it's very stylised. I don't think that's historically accurate. Presumably they've gone for style over accuracy, because I don't think corduroy armour would actually be that effective. But anyway, now Vlad the Impaler goes off to war and brutally massacres his opponents. We see some very stylistic, silhouetted impalings. Horrible stuff. But the folk where he's fighting play a little bit dirty, because they shoot an arrow into the castle where his wife lives and go, Vlad the Impaler's dead. So she goes, oh no, he's dead, distraught. So she kills his son. So Vlad comes back off his killing spree to find his missus has killed his son. And he is livid, absolutely blooming livid. And he renounces God and becomes evil vampire bloke. So, yeah, fair enough. And we then jump forward a few hundred years, where we meet Jonathan Starkers, who's a solicitor who has to go over to see Dracula to help him sort out some paperwork for some property move he's doing. Now, Jonathan Starkers and his fiancée Mina Murray are played by Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, respectively. Now, they're Americans or Canadians or something, as far as I can tell, putting on English accents. Now, Winona Ryder's accent, to be fair, she's alright. She does a decent accent.
He thinks he's too poor to marry me. And it's all the worse now that I'm here visiting you at Hillingham.
But Reeves, bloody hell, he's awful.
I've seen many strange things already. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno.
Now, I remember he were in Bill and Ted, because my son Dino liked that.
This has been a most excellent adventure.
And they were in Point Break, because my daughter Maxine liked that.
You're cold because all the blood is running out of your body, Roach. You're going to be dead soon.
So I weren't exactly convinced of his range from them films. And his accent in this is bloody awful.
I know where the bastard sleeps. I brought him there. To Carfax Abbey.
So that were a mark in the negative column before the film had even got going. And we then see Starkers heading over to Transylvania, to Castle Dracula, to sort out this property paperwork. Very different to today, isn't it? You know, if you get purple pricks to do your house move, they don't even turn up, do they? It's all online and that. And I don't understand why Starkers sticks around, because there's loads of stuff going on what gives me the willies. I mean, there were plenty of warning signals for him, not least this coach driver who needs a good manicure. Anyway, this is where we meet Dracula, and I were intrigued to see what he was going to look like. And I were hoping for the sort of iconic Dracula. But no, Gary Oldman is sporting a very different look with this weird hairdo here, which from behind looks like he's wearing a pair of buttocks on his head. Now, even though I were disappointed with Dracula's appearance, there's loads of good bits here, loads of clever bits that convey to the audience that Dracula is a sinister, weird character, like not appearing in mirrors, or sliding around on roller skates, or picking up out of his coffin. Or my favourite, Dracula's shadow doing something completely different to what Dracula's doing. Now, it seems simple, but a very effective technique to create a sense of unease, isn't it? And Oldman is obviously having a field day here, isn't he? Hamming it up something rotten, isn't he? Now, normal folk like me and thee, we'd have done a runner. But Starkers, he just starts mooching about the castle. And he's been warned by Dracula his son not to go into rooms and fall asleep on the bed and stuff. But of course he does that. And he stumbles across these seductive, nudie vampire women. And then he starts having their way with him. And one of them looks like she bites his knob off. But by now he's realised he's actually a prisoner of Dracula. Because Dracula has seen a photo of Starker's fiancée and has thought, ooh, she looks a bit like my dead wife from 400 years ago. I'll have a bit of that. So he gets the nudie vampire women to keep Starkers captive while he buggers off to England. And this is another thing I was disappointed with. Because in the original story, he pops to Whitby. Yeah, apparently it takes the appearance of a large dog leaping ashore when his ship runs aground at Whitby. Now, I love Whitby. I mean, the family have been to Whitby loads of times. It's great. So I'm disappointed they didn't go to Whitby in this film. And another thing what were different with this love story between Dracula and Mina, who presumably is supposed to be the reincarnation of his dead wife from 400 years ago. Now, I don't remember that being an element of the traditional Dracula story, but might be wrong. I've never read the book. But what I didn't get about this film is that Oldman is besotted with Winona Ryder's character because she looks like his old wife. But then he proceeds to have it off with her best mate. So what's all that about? Now, as you can see, he's changed his appearance here because he doesn't look like the old wrinkly Dracula anymore. He looks like some hairy half-wolf, half-ape creature. And of course, we know from previous adaptations that Dracula, he can change his appearance regularly, doesn't he? He turns into some bats or wolves and stuff like that. But blimmin' heck, he doesn't half change his appearance a lot in this one. As well as turning his son into a younger, dapper-looking gent, he turns his son into this horrible thing, that horrible thing, whatever that is. I don't really understand it. I don't understand why he had to look like the old wrinkly version at the start. Why didn't he just make his son look like the dapper version then? Didn't really get that at all, no. Hey, it must have taken him ages to light all them candles. Bloody fire hazard. And a road, after he turns Mina's best mate into a vampire, Anthony Hopkins shows up as Professor Van Helsing, a vampire expert. And he starts chewing the scenery off and all. Has a bit of a lovey off with Oldman, see who can overact the most. But, you know, they are the best things in this. And then Starkers, Van Helsing and the rest of the lads, they have to bugger off to Transylvania to try and catch Dracula before he can turn Mina into a vampire. Because otherwise she'll become the bride of Dracula for all eternity. And presumably they're going to all this effort just to try and salvage Starkers and Mina's relationship. Although I reckon they'd be well in need of some couples counselling. The conversation's going to be very awkward around a breakfast table, ain't it? I mean, she's been having it off with the Prince of Darkness, and he had his knob bitten off by a nudie vampire woman. Righty-ho, on to Ray's ratings. Now, I'll be honest, I were hoping this were going to be really good. Because folks say, oh, Francis Ford Coppola is a brilliant director, isn't he? And I do like Dracula stories. So I were hoping this would be a 4-star film. Now here's where I'm struggling a bit. I don't know how to rate this. Because yes, there were some bits in it what were good. There were some very clever techniques used to sort of create the sense of unease around Dracula. Like his shadows doing their own thing. I think by and large it stayed quite faithful to the Dracula story. But then they added all this romancy stuff in, which I thought was stupid. And they never went to Whitby, and I love Whitby. And I didn't like the look of Dracula. He didn't have that iconic look where he's supposed to. He kept changing outfits and it was daft. But I've got to come down to the bottom line. Yes, there were some clever bits in it. But did I enjoy the film? No, not really. So I'm rating Dracula as a 1.5 star, 4-star film. Now, I know what some of you ravers are thinking. You're probably thinking, Raymond, stop being such an old fuddy duddy, stuck in your ways, and embrace new interpretations of things. It's just your opinion that there's a definitive Dracula look that all filmmakers should stick to. But we've seen that before, and we want new, interesting interpretations of the character. Well, no, it ain't just my opinion, because to settle the argument about the definitive Dracula look, all we've got to do is see what they used for the horror top chumps. And there you go, the classic Dracula look. That's the definitive Dracula. End of discussion. Well, I hope you enjoyed the review this week, Ravers. And if you did, poke the like button for me. Poke it please. Thank you. Share our reviews with your mates. And subscribe to my channel. And pop a comment below. It's always good to hear from you. Maybe you've got some requests. Maybe you'd like me to review something. Drop us a line. And I'll be back next time. Don't know what I'm reviewing next week now. My schedule's out of sync a bit at the moment. But yeah, I'll be back next week all being well. Okie doke.